I am currently 35 years old, and I would like to share the story of my family's disintegration following my decision to move in with my 60-year-old mother. During my childhood, I resided with my parents and my older brother, who was 3 years my senior. Our relationship was far from harmonious, as he grew into a bully, surpassing his peers in both size and malevolence. He treated not only his classmates but also me as his personal servant, assuming an air of superiority. His demeanor worsened when his friends visited, as he relished in exerting dominance over me. "Hey, you," he would command, "fetch us our juice." In front of his companions, he would insult me, deeming me unintelligent and slow, confident that I wouldn't comprehend his hurtful words. Although our mother witnessed his mistreatment, she would applaud his actions, declaring that disciplining his sister would mold him into a respected man. She revered him, and while my birthdays often slipped her mind, she consistently prepared lavish gifts for him. On the other hand, my father remembered my special day and clandestinely wished me a happy birthday. However, he never shielded me from their cruelty. Even as I entered high school, their attitudes remained unchanged. If anything, they worsened. I became an invisible presence within the confines of our home. During this time, I withdrew into myself and found solace in solitude, enduring their disdain. To my astonishment, my mother even joined in whenever they caught sight of me, sharing in their amusement. Though I couldn't discern their exact words, their expressions made it clear that they were mocking me. I decided to go to university, another state to get away from them. I majored in economics, and then went on to work at an investment bank in university. It was tough to be alone without family support at first, but I met a nice girl from the same state as me, and we shared a room in student housing. There was no way my parents would send me allowance. I studied and worked hard since I was in high school. I was interested in investments. After numerous tries and failures, I gained enough experience to make my own allowance. I studied all the time, but it was truly the first happiest time of my life without my mom and brother. 5 years after I started working, my dad passed away. On the day of the funeral, I saw my mom, Neil, and his wife Amy. For the first time in a while, my mom asked Neil, "Hey, will you come live with me?" He simply refused. He still wanted to enjoy life alone with his wife. Then my mom changed her attitude and asked me to move in with her. If I did, I would have to quit my job. I contemplated it and thought it was a chance to reconcile with her. Hence, I agreed to move in. I resigned from my work and got a new job. Working from home life as my selfish mother was not pleasant, but she's no longer ignored me as she had done before. A few years had passed since we started living together. One day I heard a knock on the side door. When I answered, you and Amy were standing there. "Hey, long time no see." He had not dropped by the house since our dad's funeral and suddenly showed up. It didn't matter how much time had passed, he still made fun of me. Amy watched our interaction in silence. I had met her several times, but we hardly ever talked. She must be talked into by him and always looked at me with condescending eyes. "What are you doing here?" "I came to check on Mom as a son." "That's what I should do." "Right. I see." He acted like a big shot anyway. "What's going on?" "What do you mean don't play dumb? You got some of that's inheritance, right? I hear you are spinning lavishly." "Sure, I got some. And he also got it at the same time." "I don't really understand." "You take care of it." He threw the responsibility to Mom and me. "At that time, Amy and I would take the money and you'll be kicked out of the house immediately. You won't be able to afford any luxuries." "Luxuries? I never had any." Then Amy, who had been standing quietly, lashed out, "Don't lie to us. You are taking the money that Neil is entitled to." She pointed her finger at me. They misunderstood that there was some inheritance left. If I was that rich, I wouldn't have been struggling to pay off my student loan. Anyway, I'm going to talk to Mom now and kick you out. That's right. The money is ours. They walked into the living room, Doris. It's been a long time. Amy began to kiss her, but with a cooling voice as soon as she saw her. I thought you might be having a hard time living with Peggy. I was worried, so I came to check on you. Are you all right? Have you lost some weight? You presented to be concerned. No way. I cooked every day and Mom ate a lot. If anything, she was looking a little fuller than she used to. Hey Mom, do you want us to move in with you? Oh, but I thought you guys wanted to live alone. Since moving in with her, I have been giving her a comfortable life. I thought she would want to stay with me. I realized that you might be lonely without me. Really? Huh? Mom? She was not choosing me. I would love to live with you and Amy. I'm looking forward to it too. The three of them carried on the conversation on their own. Wait a minute. I'm the one living with her. Shouldn't you talk to me first? Shut up. You are no longer of any use to her. You are costing money just to be here. We'll take care of her from now on, so you get the hell out. I'm saying this for everyone's sake. After Neil and Amy got married, they lived as they pleased. They rarely came back to see Mom. Amy in particular didn't know anything about her. I was worried that it would be difficult for the three of them to live together. You don't know your place, do you? You are always causing trouble to Mom. I had no choice but to let you stay with her until now. Just get out of here. You beg her. Amy, who was sitting beside him, also chimed in. Exactly. We don't want a parasite in our house. My head couldn't catch up with a sudden turn of events. I had no problem leaving the house, but I was worried about Mom. She had treated me poorly in the past, but still she was my mother. I wanted to take good care of her throughout her golden years. I told her how I felt about her future. Are you going to be okay without me? You are no longer needed. I'm going to start a new life and you are in my way. Capel, something in me exploded. I wasn't in need, a good match for her despite that I have been supporting her. There should have been at least a word of gratitude. Besides, I thought that I had developed some kind of bond with her. Got it. If I'm in the way, then I'm leaving. I bought a lot of furniture. Can I take those with me? Whatever. Take them. No worries. We'll buy new ones soon. Anyway. Neil laughed. When I left the living room, the three of them were talking happily. I murmured, brace yourselves, in a voice. They couldn't care. I quickly prepared to move out and began living alone again in the city. Far from my family. My work didn't depend on where I was. I could do it anywhere with wife. I was so excited to be able to live a carefree life. Remembering the old days. One day while I was enjoying my free and easy life, I received a call from Neil. Hey, there is no money at all. He had lived in with Mom, who does inheritance money, but he realized that there was none left before living together. Neil had been in contact with Mom weekly. She bragged to him that she had gone on a trip and stayed at the fancy hotel, that she had eaten at the fancy restaurant, and so on. Hearing those stories, he was convinced that Dad left a large inheritance that Mom and I were spending on a luxury lifestyle. He foolishly planned to leave off that money. I told him the truth. It was my money that she was lavishly spending. No way. You don't have that kind of money. Well, I put about $3,000 in her account every month. Besides that, I was also paying for food and utilities. After years of experience, I had become a home-based trader and I was able to make a selling income from my investments. There were ups and downs of calls, but I thought I was well off. It was the truth, but he had no idea. He interpreted what he heard from Mom as a great inheritance. Dad was an ordinary company employee. There was no way he left such savings and life insurance for us to lead such a luxurious life. Neil and Amy couldn't even figure that out. What the hell? What are you going to do about it? I quit my job thinking there was enough money to hang around for a while. He thought he could just get a job when the money run out. Hold on, Neil, have you ever met anyone who is living off inheritance? Who are you to act so righteous? It's your fault for not telling me beforehand. You give us $3,000 every month. Why do I want to do that? It's your brother's order. I wanted to laugh at his stupidity. Instead, I thought about educating him well as an adult. What do you think you are to give me orders? Of course, a big brother has authority over his younger sister. What a joke. Maybe if you are a brother who deserves my respect, you've never done anything for me on until now. I have neither the obligation nor the duty to obey you. How dare you speak to me like that? Don't depend on others. You moron. Take charge of your own life. Mom, who had been listening to our exchange nearby, took go over the phone. She went on trips, had dinner with friends, and bought clothes every month. Yet she still had money left. She conveniently thought that she was so good at managing money. She had no idea that I was putting an extra for her every month. Listen, help me out and send me money. She cried to me. You told me I was in your way, didn't you? Don't blame me. It was my dream to live with my son and his wife. You don't get married, so I thought I may never see my grandchild from you. Didn't you make it clear that you are done with me? Oh, come on. I'm telling you, I need you now. As long as you give me the money, you can come to visit me once a month from now. Would that be nice? I couldn't say anything more than those idiots. I won't help you, Neil. I don't even want to see you guys anymore. Just give us the money. I could hear Neil screaming over the phone. I am not going to live my life being pushed around by you guys anymore. I don't want you in my life at all. I'm cutting tie with you, so don't call me again. Wait a minute. I really reflect on myself. Okay, Mom, hastily pleaded, but there was no point in listening to any more or cartoon tones. I hung up the phone on them. My phone continued to ring, so I blocked their numbers. A few months later, I received a call from a relative and heard that Mom knew and Amy had separated from their ways. Money was their issue. Mom lost her comfortable life. She could not travel with friends or buy brand name clothes anymore. Her friends started distancing themselves from her, and she lived in a studio apartment with welfare checks. She was always so snobbish about her good fortune. But it was thanks to her daughter. Now that she's kicked her out, she's fallen. It assert her, right? You know, the neighbors whispered what I wanted to yell out. She had tried to reach me through relatives and even used a private detective to track down my whereabouts. Even though it cost her a lot, I sensed it before she could ambush me and relocated immediately. Since then, I lost all feelings for her completely. Even the memory of her disappeared from my mind. And then there was an extremely arrogant couple, Neil and Amy, when they had no job and no money, and their lives were bleak. They fought all the time. Amy eventually got fed up with Neil and eloped with a young man. The man had some dubious deaths. And he was being chased by shady people. They moved around, unable to settle in one place. Later, Amy and the man also separated and she disappeared. Neil lived at home with his mom for a while. But he ran away with a small amount of cash. When they faced a financial issue, they had fallen out. Irrevocably. Mom was so angry that she reported the theft to the police. Although Neil wasn't charged. They became enemies after that. What was their relationship about growing up? They seemed like two close friends, but it was a fragile and calculating one to begin with. He was an abnormal person who took pleasure in abusing me. I thought they were connected by my presence. What an ironic twist of fate to have been kicked out only to witness Neil face his own downfall. He was later apprehended for stealing cash and valuables from an acquaintance, inevitably facing the consequences of the law. Naturally, his actions led to him losing his job as well. When his lawyer reached out to me about posting bail, I promptly declined without a moment's hesitation. While I briefly entertained the idea of attending his trial to taunt him, I ultimately decided against it. Meanwhile, my life continued as a home-based trader, filled with busy and eventful days. There were ups and downs, but overall, I managed to maintain a financially comfortable existence. One day, a personal trainer from my gym asked me out, and now we are together, with plans for marriage in our future. I was open and honest with my fiancé's parents about my background and way of life, and to my surprise, they showed understanding and acceptance. It has been a challenging journey thus far, but I consider it a valuable source of growth that has allowed me to cultivate trust in my relationship with my partner and his family. As our family expands in the future, my aspiration is to create a warm and joyful home, free from discrimination or prejudice.